food business. You know, I'm very excited by that because clearly that is what you're saying is an opportunity, and you've been saying that for some time now, which clearly means that the food business is much smaller than it should be and could be, isn't it? What are really the barriers here?
Firstly, the opportunity is huge. Secondly, the game is yet to be played out, and you shouldn't get overexcited in terms of what's happening out here. You have to be disciplined, we have to be focused on the consumer, and play for the long haul. What are some of the challenges? At one level, they're obvious in terms of needing to localize and understand the palate out here. And it's not just about bringing. Personal care is very global. You can take a mix from anywhere in the world and find a way relatively easily to bring it out here. Food is a lot more complicated. There are other challenges in some aspects of food which have to do with the cold chain and the development of the cold chain and what that means for us. The organized trade and its development is another contributor and driver to the changes which take place and the development of the foods opportunity as we move forward. And I think sourcing and supply chain as we move forward, as it starts getting more organized, I think will help. But while those are some of the challenges, I see many opportunities and many things coming together. I think the fact that incomes are rising, dual income families are increasing, people are willing to pay for convenience, they have the money but not the time. Organized trade is coming in.
So these are all factors, some positives, some challenges that are outside. But where Hindustan Unilever is concerned and the food business is concerned, gross generalization, but the feeling is that there hasn't been much headway made here. One of your very serious competitors in this space actually told me in another conversation that they don't take some of the efforts being made in, you know, in let's say noodles and soups very seriously. Is there something that you need to unlock within to get food to grow?
Of course we do. So I think.
What are those?
So the first thing is as we start building foods, I think we need to build certain food-specific capabilities in an organization, which are like a supply chain which is able to deliver freshness, a brand team which is able to deliver and build brands through experience. So as we've started studying the foods opportunity, there are some capabilities which are very food-specific. As we start building foods in India and recognizing the challenges which I talked about, getting people who spent time building domain expertise and an understanding starts becoming important. And lastly, I think the linkages, we are blessed that Unilever is a large foods company. And I think what we are doing is build strong linkages and being able to leverage the opportunity that we've got in terms of technology and consumer understanding to start doing it out here. As far as the things that you talked about in terms of soups, or other stuff, we are quite positive about it. We've entered categories, several of them, we are in the stage of what I call market development. We are creating markets where soup and soup drinking might not be a habit out here. But we want to enter spaces where we know we've got technology, where we know we've got understanding, and therefore when we build brands and we build a presence, we will hold it over a period of time. And the stage which we are in just now, I think we want to build brands which occupy the consumer mind space first. We want brands which are bigger in your mind than the business which is there. When they get big in your mind, the business will follow.
And how is that going? How is that happening?
That I think we are pleased. We've got some very strong brands. Kissan is a very strong brand. Knorr is becoming a very strong brand as we are moving forward. We've got a big ice cream business. 5 years ago, people used to ask us whether we are serious about ice cream and are we making headway. We are pleased that we've got a strategy and we were disciplined in its approach, and we are now seeing that it's getting to scale and it's getting the sort of growth that we want as a part of this business. So, and we've got tea and coffee. Coffee is something we don't talk about, but in brew, again,
we're getting a lot of brand investment, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of premiumization happening out there. So all in all, we are determined, we will build it. And like you, there is no one who is more impatient than I am about results in any area.
And you have a new person who's heading the food business, isn't it? So, you know, talking about brew and what's happening there, there's a very small thing that's happening which people in Mumbai may be familiar with, and that's the Brew World Cafe. We know that Lakme Lever, I think the goal was to have a salon per week in 2011, okay, and that's a separate, subsidiary. So HUL, just two tiny examples to show that you are now in spaces which is service, isn't it?
That's right.
How big is this
It's
the
not big
service
today.
business?
It's not big today.
But is it
our
going to be?
business. See, what is our view in terms of strategy? It is crucial for us to have a point of view on the consumer of tomorrow, and start building brands, portfolio, and capabilities which address that. The consumer of tomorrow, segments of tomorrow, channels of tomorrow. And it is clear that there will be more money spent out of home. How can we not be participating there? Yeah? So therefore, whether it's ice creams, you've got 150 odd parlors, Swirls parlors, or whether it is the salons, or an early set of pilots with Brew World Cafe. So don't take it any more than small pilots which are there at this moment. We'll see how they progress.
But it shows a clear intent to be in this service business if that is what your consumer wants going forward.
Boss once said, strategies must be very simple. Follow with the consumer, follow the money. So if consumers are spending more time outside, there's more money being spent outside. How can we not be attempting to be there?
But this means that it's a new skill set and mindset both,
so
isn't
we have
it?
to work towards it, and therefore we are taking small steps, learning along the way, and we will see how things go.
There's this association, a global association with PepsiCo on Lipton, isn't it? How does that work, and do we see more of these collaborations going forward? Because clearly that is so that you can access their strength in, let's say, restaurants and
Look, it's worked very well in
like
other parts of the world. This summer, just a couple of months ago, we launched Lipton Iced Tea through this partnership in India. We are very optimistic about Lipton Iced Tea in India and bringing the best of what these two companies have to bear, leveraging their respective strengths and going to the market. But it's early days.
But is this a trend, these kind of collaborations?
I think it will. Partnerships will become more and more important as we move forward.
I have heard you say, I've heard other people in Hindustan Unilever say that planning cycles have really got compressed, and this dynamic management of the business is really what you need to do. Give me a sense of, does that mean just a change in mindset, saying you have to move faster and just decision making gets faster, or are there technological processes that,
so I think it's both.
come to play?
It's both. It's about decision making, it's about mindset, and it's also about technologies which can be brought to bear to crash cycle times. Giving you an example, some time ago, you had packaging material which came in printed from a supplier which would have the PKD and the MRP, which is the maximum retail price, printed on it. If that's what came in, you were stuck with the 2 or 3 weeks of stock and you couldn't do anything about it. There are new technologies which are available which could print all of this online. As the product is coming out, you could print this. Now, when you've got to that, effectively you could take a decision on pricing and have it implemented in the next few hours.
Right.
So this is an example of technology. The other is mindset, processes and ways of working. We now have a meeting. Gopal Vittal, our HPC director, because there's so much of volatility, holds a meeting every Monday morning to find out how costs are moving, what competitors are doing, what does it mean for us. And no longer can you do what you did in the past, which is broadly you would say you take 2 price increases in a year, you took one in the first quarter, you take one in the third quarter. Now that's history. You can't operate like that anymore.
3 years since you've been at the helm, more than 3 years, 3.5 years. Have things changed a lot in the past 3 years compared to the 15 plus years before that?
I think things are changing, and yes, they've changed at a faster rate. We've seen a period of greater volatility than I'd ever seen prior to that. But you know what? That's how the world will be. And if I thought there was a lot of change and volatility here, everything that I've learned tells me that the rate of change will only increase as we move forward. So we just have to gear up to deal with that.
Nitin Paranspe, pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
All the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you.